Hi, welcome back. Today, just want to share with you some results we've had doing with air layers. Done a lot this year. Been a bit of a battle with the warm weather we've had, but now we've had a bit of a dip in that, with the temperatures. We're ready to kind of cut some of these off. Some of them are certainly ready to kind of get off now before they get too messy and too full of roots in there. Various ones here though. So these I've cut a couple of days ago. Had these sitting in a bucket of water, just because it was just too hot to do anything with, but I didn't really want to leave them on the tree with the temperatures we had. So there's a couple of crab apples there. Well, I say crab apples, they're an ornamental malus of some description, and you get these little fruits on there. Don't really get much bigger than this. They do seem to have this scab on them, but I'm not sure whether it's just because it's been an air layer and I was a bit stressed out. I had cut blossom off some of them and left it on others, and didn't seem to make much of a difference in the rooting. But obviously when these get potted up now, these will have to come off. And I've also reduced the height of them a bit because these were quite long. Some of the bits I took off were like 5, 6 foot. So, reduced them a bit so they're not having to pump water up so high. I probably won't want all of that. But yeah, they're quite nice. And like I say, got the really scaled down little fruit, which could be quite convincing on a bonsai. Like I say, no idea of the variety. This one's obviously got a bit of a bend here. I was probably going to take another layer off that or something at some point. Or you could come off of it here. There's a few options there. But yeah, it's full of roots. So no special treatment with these though. I'm just going to take a bit of the moss off them around them, and these will go in the ground straight at home. My soil at home really seems to be favourable for growing on air layers, so I'll just pop them straight in there. Another cool one I wanted to kind of show you, just because of the sheer amount of them on this plant. Obviously this is a Prunus there, Kojo Maya. Obviously a favourable species for bonsai. And this one again, I got a couple of these cheap. Did a bonsai challenge with Tony and used the other one for that. And it was getting on late on in the year, a bit too late maybe to start mucking around with the roots. So I thought instead of doing that this time, we'll just take a load off of it and get some young ones to kind of be able to work with, bend them around or whatever before they get too thick. Like this is pretty set in its way now, but I did select what I could find with nice kind of movements in. But yeah, so I had there's 6 on there, and there was this one that dried out on there. Now this dried out, other than this little bit of foliage, you can see that has some kind of scorch on it. Maybe those were all right. That's opened up since. And these here, and this one really, like I said, it dried out completely. Didn't look too good, so I just popped it in some moss, and that's still trying, so I'd imagine that's going to be fine. So we can count 7 on this at the moment for such a small plant, so that's got to be probably a record air layering for me on one little tree. Not that they're ambitious size air layers, there's just loads of them. So that's a good result, and as you can see, these are packed with roots now. They're really pink when they first come out, the new roots. See sort of hardening off. But yeah, loads on there, so that's a good result. I've got plenty of those to play with. The original one from Tony's Bonsai challenge that I did with him. You see this one here now, this has still got a nice pink on the roots. This is another Prunus, what was this here, Oshidori. This is a kind of nice double flower. At least a little bit larger, but the flower is really nice. And all 3 of those are working, so there's roots in all of those. I've had to correct this one because it was hanging over, and obviously roots being roots, they've grown the wrong way chasing gravity, or drawn by the gravity obviously. So yeah, good result on that one, for the price of one there. And the original plant's doing well, and kind of got the bit that we want there, and the rest is going to be chopped off. Obviously it might have bulked up a little bit more with this not being 7 in 3 places, but again, just got some kind of pliable little bits to work with there. So another good result with that one. Another kind of notable one that we got to hand to show you is this Yew Tree. I was making, in previous videos, I was making cloud trees out of these, or little miniature kind of topiary cloud trees, but this one had a really nice rootstock already, so I've decided, because this was pretty useless with these 3 coming off, I've air layered that part and kept that rootstock for maybe a bonsai now. And we've got some branches still to work with if we want. So really nice roots there. and that plateaus out again from the soil level, so it's quite convenient. And I've already done a fair bit of root work on it, all in 1 year, plus this air layer. Can you see this is just full of rather large, vigorous roots there, so. And this as well, you know, no matter how careful you are tying these off, where there's 3 branches meeting, you know, you're bound to get a little bit of water in there over time, and it has sat a little bit wet, but with this it's not phased it. You know, the foliage matches the foliage on the rootstock there, so I say that was a good success, that one, and there's little buds everywhere, and the growth's extended out the same, so that Yew Tree air laid really easy, and I'm sure I did quite a nice part there, so we could do a really small tree and maybe keep these 3 coming out of it, have it a bit of a clump. So no, we'll take that one apart another day. Maybe I'll do another video with that, and then we can look at what we've got left at the bottom as well. That's kind of cool. And then the last one in there we've got to show you is this huge one. You see us chopping down at the start of the video. And this is a piece of quince, a big edible, you know, the edible fruit quince, the old-fashioned ones. And I kind of did this as an experiment because I knew it had chunky bark, and I wanted to do what I did for that Forsythia hair layer, where I kind of created a nice tapering, well not taper, flaring out in the berry straight away with an air layer. I'm going to kind of see how this process goes. And this was the first one I thought I'd trial it on, and it seems to have took really quick. I think it's probably about 2 months old, this, something like that. Full of roots, but keeps drying out, and it's in a really shady spot, and I know it doesn't look very much alive, but it didn't have much foliage on it to start with, and that was the other doubtful thing with it. It really was in a shady spot. Obviously air layers need a little bit of sun to kind of get them to push some roots out and send some food down to that area. But yeah, there wasn't much more leaves in this, so I'm not concerned about it. All I'll do today is try and expose that little area where we flared it out, so we can have a look at what's going on there, hoping it's kind of calloused over and it's kind of, you know, really bulging out there. And we'll just pot this one up in moss for now, because there could still be some warm temperatures, and we'll let the roots harden off, you know, and give it a chance. But I'll just start, I'm trying to take off some of this dead wood that we've got on here. Some of this. Some of it's alive there, but I'll keep it simpler. Because it's going to be staying in moss. So again, I'm not too worried that it's up there, you know, really tall. I'm sure it will hang on. Just get it cleaned up. There's still life in all these branches here as well, so you don't have a chance there. Look at this. Take a few bits off. Yeah, what looks quite dead is actually green, so probably with this greenhouse and sitting in moss in a quiet corner. I think it will wake up, and as soon as we see some new growth down here, we can then just chop this back a bit and think about what we're going to do with it. It's got quite big leaves, so I don't know how good it will be for a bonsai, but this was quite an experiment on something I had to hand with thick bark and to see if it would work, and it did have a nice shape here. So we'll have a look in there then. Right, so just secured it and, you know, made it a little bit easier for this demonstrate, you know, just to show you guys obviously what we've got going on in here. A bit curious, but it should stay put. There might be one downfall to this, is that I know that because it was too big a ball to hold with the cling film, I just used the bag that I had with me. And being biodegradable, it's tried doing that in there, so there we go. And I think, well, we won't mention the brand of it, but it's sort of a little bit biodegradable at the moment, so that's 2 months in wet conditions, so it's not going to be too bad. So the roots have actually pushed through this bag, so we'll have to be careful not to take too many with us, but I don't really want that in the moss, so we'll do our best to get rid of this. There's most of that minging plastic out of there. So you've got another tie of it around the bottom. Would have been nice to cut this a little bit shorter as well, but I didn't want to disturb it earlier. And let's just see if we can just see that top part. That's all I want to see. See how that's behaving. Well, I can feel little roots in the moss there, where it's starting to flare out. There's the initial bit, so not too much from that side. Yeah, so there's the occasional little root coming out of there. Not too much yet, and this side's obviously thriving. Maybe it's, let's see. Yeah, so those bits look like they've died off on this one, yeah. There we go. So it would really depend on what comes from under there now. Over on this side, that's a little bit of a disappointment on that. We got good callousing under there as well, so that might, something might come of that. Didn't quite get them bits to survive and flare off like I'd hoped though. So we've got no issue with this side. I'm sure something good's happening under there. I won't get too involved in this because we know the other side's fairly weak. I just want to see. Yeah, so there's a good example of what I was hoping to see all the way around. This is actually really quite full of roots there. I don't know if we can see in there, but there's some callousing over there. I was hoping that would happen between each of them slits I made and kind of push out further and then root from there, but that's something at least. See if we can get a few of these roots just to... I'd rather roots just heading down and not up this way at least. Oh, there must be another piece of it here. So I'm going to have to unpick this one, it's a bit healthier. But yeah, for now I'm just going to chuck this in some moss really, let it recover. We'll come back to this when it's got something kind of good showing, but that's solid anyway, so it's got a lot of good roots there. Like I say, it'd be tempting to sit there and fiddle around with this, but I don't think it's quite got the strength yet to take too much of this moss off. I'll just rough this edge up. You can kind of see a nice shape in this, and obviously these bits are hollow, already rotted out, so you can cut these back a bit further as well. But I just thought it looked quite nice and gnarly. It looks like it heals really well as well, this. So. Well, thanks for watching. As always, I hope you enjoyed it and can take something from it. Like I say, it's a good example here of how easy these ALAs can be done, especially with these little Prunuses. So you know how popular they are in bonsai. If you can get one cheap from a garden centre when it's finished flowering, maybe not the best shape or best rootstock. You know, you could preemptively bend the branch round and then take a little air layer off, and then you can have something a bit more impressionable. Like I say, thanks for watching, and if you could like and subscribe, that'd be really handy. Thank you.